Now have quorum. My name is Hilary Powell. I'm the clerk of the committee. I must inform members that the clerk of the committee can only receive motions for the election of the chair. The clerk cannot receive other types of motions, cannot entertain points of order, nor participate in debate. We can now proceed to the election of the chair. Pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the chair must be a member of the government party. I am now ready to receive motions for the chair.
Je suis prête à recevoir.
Mr. Maloney, I see you have your hand up. Apologies for the technical delay. I see Ms. Rempel-Garner has her hand up.
I would like to nominate MP Aldag, please, clerk.
All right. It has been moved by Ms. Rempel-Garner that Mr. Aldag be elected as chair of the committee. Are there any further motions?
Madam Clerk, did you not hear me earlier?
I could not, no.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Do you have...
My apologies. I had nominated Mr. Aldag as well. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you for confirming that.
I just thought everybody was thinking hard about it.
It has been moved by Ms. Rempel-Garner that Mr. Aldag be elected as chair of the committee. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? I declare the motion carried and Mr. Aldag duly elected as chair of the committee. Mr. Aldag, you're welcome to come take a seat at the chair's table. Thank you.
A point of order.
Hello, I'm afraid as clerk I'm unable to take point of orders right now. I will pass over to the
Well, I was just asking for the Chair's recognition.
I recognize Mr. Angus on your point of order.
Well, thank you. I know we have a lot of business to do. I just wanted to congratulate you on behalf of the New Democratic Party and say we'll be certainly looking forward, and I'm hoping we'll be able to get to business this afternoon as we have much to do, and I will be bringing forward a motion to look at that time. So thank you so much that you are our chair.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks to everybody for your support. So now we're going to go back to the clerk for the nomination of vice chairs or appointment of vice chairs, and then we'll go into some of the regular business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the first chair must be a member of the official opposition. I'm now prepared to receive motions for the first vice chair. Mr. Angus?
I nominate Ms. Rempel-Garner.
Are there any further motions? All right. It has been moved by Mr. Angus that Ms. Rempel-Garner be elected as first vice chair of the committee. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? Great. I declare the motion carried and Ms. Rempel-Garner duly elected as first vice chair of the committee. pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the second vice chair must be a member of an opposition party other than the official opposition. I'm now prepared to receive motions for the second vice chair.
I would nominate
Mr.
Mr. Simard.
Mr. Melillo? Thank you. Are there any further motions? The motion proposed by Mr. Melillo that Mr. Simard be elected as second vice chair of the committee has been received. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? I declare the motion carried and Mr. Simard duly elected second vice chair of the committee. Thank you very much.
All right, well, congratulations to our vice chairs, and I look forward to working with all of the members on this committee in the time that we'll have ahead. If you can indulge me for a few minutes, there's some points we need to get through as we go through the sort of routine business of the committee this afternoon. First of all, welcome to meeting number 1 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Natural Resources. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format pursuant to the House Order of November 25th, 2021. Members are attending in person in the room and remotely using the Zoom application. Regarding the speaking list, the committee clerk and I will do the best we can to maintain a consolidated order of speaking for all members, whether participating virtually or in person. Now, just before we continue on, I see Mr. Maloney, you have your hand up. Is it a point of order, or can I get through these points first? Well, I'll go over to Mr. Maloney.
I was just being very keen, but go ahead, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I apologize.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind all participants to this meeting that screenshots or taking photos of your screen is not permitted. The proceedings will be made available via the House of Commons website. Given the ongoing pandemic situation and in light of the recommendations from public health authorities, as well as the directive of the Board of Internal Economy on October 19th, 2021, to remain healthy and safe, the following is recommended for all those attending the meeting in person. Anyone with symptoms should participate by Zoom and not attend the meeting in person. Everyone must maintain 2-meter physical distance, whether seated or standing. Everyone must wear a non-medical mask when circulating in the room. It is recommended in the strongest possible terms that members wear their masks at all times, including when seated. Non-medical masks, which provide better clarity over cloth masks, are available in the room. Everyone present must maintain proper hand hygiene by using the hand sanitizer at the room entrance. Committee rooms are cleaned before and after each meeting. To maintain this, everyone is encouraged to clean surfaces such as the desk, chair, and microphone with the provided disinfectant wipes when vacating or taking a seat. As the chair, I will be enforcing these measures for the duration of the meeting, and I thank members in advance for their cooperation. I'd now suggest that as the next order of business, that the committee now proceed to considering our routine motions. In preparation for this, the committee clerk has circulated a list of routine motions that the committee adopted in the last parliamentary session. The committee clerk can also answer any questions about the routine motions that you may have. And so now, Mr. Maloney, I'll recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and let me just add my congratulations to you for taking on this position. It's one I've held in the past, so I'm looking very much forward to working with you and continuing the good work of this committee. As you pointed out, look, we've got a number of routine motions. I'm going to propose initially that we, rather than read them all out individually, that we move to adopt them collectively. If that's not acceptable, then I will proceed to do it one by one.
Okay, Ms. Rempel-Garner.
If possible, Chair, just because we do have a lot of new members on the committee, can we have them read out?
Okay.
Thank you.
So the request, Mr. Maloney, has been that we read them all out because of the number of new committees that we have on the members that we have on the committee. So if you'd like to start with the first motion, and I'll get you to read it out.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And if Ms. Rempel-Gardner, I was having trouble hearing her. I don't know if it's the audio in the room, but just going forward.
We think it's the masks and mics, and we'll do the best we can, though, to make sure everybody hears.
Everybody's out of practice, I understand. Thanks. Analyst services is the first motion. that the committee retain as needed and at the discretion of the chair the services of one or more analysts from the Library of Parliament to assist in its work.
Okay, any discussion on this first motion, or do we need a seconder, or do we just go into voting? Go through them? Okay. All right, okay, then we'll go to the second motion, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee on Agenda and Procedure, that the Subcommittee on Agenda and Procedure be established and be composed of 5 members, the chair, 1 member from each of the recognized party, and that the subcommittee work in a spirit of collaboration.
Okay, and next?
Meeting without a quorum, that the chair be authorized to hold meetings to receive evidence and to have that evidence published when a quorum is not present, provided that at least 4 members are present, including 2 members of the opposition parties and 2 members of the government party. But when traveling outside the parliamentary precinct, that the meeting begin after 15 minutes, regardless of the members present.
Okay, and next?
Time for opening remarks and questioning of witnesses, that witnesses be given 5 minutes for their opening statement, that whenever possible, witnesses provide the committee with their opening statement 72 hours in advance, that at the discretion of the chair during the questioning of witnesses, there be allocated 6 minutes for the first questioner of each party as follows for the first round: Conservative Party, Liberal Party, Bloc Québécois, New Democratic Party. For the second and subsequent rounds, the order and time for questioning be as follows: Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes, Bloc Québécois 2.5 minutes, New Democratic Party 2.5 minutes, Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes. That only the clerk of the committee be authorized to distribute. Oh, sorry, that was the next one.
Okay, yeah, go to the next one.
Okay. Document distribution, that only the clerk of the committee be authorized to distribute documents to members of the committee, provided the documents are in both official languages and that the witnesses be advised accordingly.
Okay, and next?
Working meals, that the clerk of the committee, at the discretion of the chair, be authorized to make the necessary arrangements to provide working meals for the committee and its subcommittees.
Okay, and next?
Travel, accommodation, and living expenses of witnesses, that if requested, reasonable travel, accommodation, and living expenses be reimbursed to witnesses not exceeding 2 representatives per organization, and that in the exceptional circumstances, payment for more representatives be made at the discretion of the chair.
Okay, thank you. And next?
Access to in-camera meetings, that unless otherwise ordered, each committee member be allowed to be accompanied by 1 staff member at in-camera meetings, and that 1 additional person from each House officer's office be allowed to be present.
Thank you. Next?
Transcripts of in-camera meetings, that 1 copy of the transcript of each in-camera meeting be kept in the committee clerk's office for consultation by members of the committee or by their staff, and that the analysts assigned to the committee also have access to the in-camera transcripts.
Okay, thank you. And next?
Notice of motion, that a 48-hour notice interpreted as 2 nights be required for any substantive motion to be moved in committee unless the substantive motion relates directly to business then under consideration, provided that A, the notice be filed with the clerk of the committee no later than 4 p.m. on Monday to Friday, B, the motion be distributed to members and the offices of the whips of each recognized party in both official languages by the clerk on the same day the said notice was transmitted, if it was received no later than the deadline hour. C, notices received after the deadline hour or on non-business days be deemed to have been received during the next business day, and that when the committee is holding meetings outside the parliamentary precinct, no substantive motion may be moved.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Orders of reference from the House respecting bills, that in relation to orders of reference from the House respecting bills, A, the clerk of the committee shall, upon the committee receiving such an order of reference, write to each member who is not a member of a caucus represented on the committee to invite those members to file with the clerk of the committee in both official languages any amendments to the bill, which is the subject of the said order, which they would suggest that the committee consider. B, suggested amendments filed pursuant to paragraph A at least 48 hours prior to the start of clause-by-clause consideration of the bill to which amendments relate shall be deemed to be proposed during the said consideration, provided the committee may, by motion, vary this deadline in respect of a given bill, and C, during the clause-by-clause consideration of a bill, the chair shall allow a member who filed suggested amendments pursuant to paragraph A an opportunity to make brief representations in support of them.
Next.
Technical tests for witnesses, that the clerk inform each witness who is to appear before the committee that the House Administration Support Team must conduct technical tests to check the connectivity and the equipment used to ensure the best possible sound quality, and that the chair advise the committee at the start of each meeting of any witness who did not perform the required technical tests.
And the next one.
And last but not least, linguistic review, that all documents submitted for committee business that do not come from a federal department, members' offices, or that have not been translated by the Translation Bureau be sent for prior linguistic review by the Translation Bureau before being distributed to members.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Is it the pleasure of
Chair.
the committee to adopt these motions, Ms. Rempel-Gardner?
Chair, I'm not sure if now is the appropriate time or after we move the main body, which Conservatives are in favor of. I'd like to add one to this, and I think that our whip's offices have been in communication. It's another routine motion that has been adopted in other committees before. And I'm sorry if I'm not sure if Mr. Maloney can hear me better now. I'm trying to speak right into the microphone as best I can.
No, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Okay, good. And that would be that whenever a minister appears before committee, every effort be made to ensure that the meeting is televised.
Okay. The clerk, it's all in order. Is everybody in favor of that additional motion? From the Liberals on screen, thumbs up. Okay, and move on. Okay. Ms. Jones? Oh, yeah. We'll go actually, Ms. Lapointe, you have your hand up, and then Mr. Maloney. Oh, Ms. Lapointe, did you have a question? We're not hearing you. I think you're muted.
I apologize. I do not have a question on the motion, no.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Mr. Maloney.
All I was going to say is I don't disagree with this. My only concern is that sometimes because of technical support, you can't always have a room that's available with that can provide those services, and I'd hate to see us lose meetings because of that. But subject to that caveat, I don't oppose this.
Okay. And Mr. Bruson?
Oh, it was sort of a ditto to what Mr. Maloney just said. I apologize. I wasn't sure that you had registered that I was good with it when you did the look at online people.
Okay. So just a... Ms. Rumpel-Gardner, can you just give us the wording on your motion once more, and then we'll put all of them to the committee?
That whenever a minister appears before committee, every effort be made to ensure that the meeting is televised.
Okay. So now with that, I'll put it to the committee members. Are we in agreement to adopt all motions, including the additional one that has been put forward? Looks like we have full agreement, so thank you, everybody. We now have our routine motions in place for our committee. And I did want to just make a couple of comments before we get started. First of all, Mr. Maloney, thank you for the work that you've done chairing this committee, I believe, in the last two parliaments. And by way of introduction, I had been on the Environment and Sustainable Development Committee in the 42nd Parliament when I was here and chaired it for the final year. I have had 2 years away from the House, so I beg the indulgence of the committee as I kind of get back up to speed. But what I'd like to suggest is that we'll go through a speaking order. I have, did you have your hand up as well, or Mr. Angus? Okay, so I have Mr. Shahal, Ms. Lapointe, Mr. Maloney, Mr. Bruson, Mr. Angus, And I don't know if anybody else has their name, so we'll simply go into.
Sorry, I don't want to challenge the chair, but I had my hand up from the get-go, and the clerk wasn't watching, so we are being disadvantaged here because people can put their hand up on the screen, but I had my hand up and kept it up, but nobody even looked in the room, so I want to challenge that.
Okay, well, I'm happy to start with Mr. Angus, and then we'll go to the...
Mr. Chair, I had my hand up as well. I mean, I can't tell from where I'm sitting, but my hand was up, and if you look in the order online, I would have been first up.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk, did you have a speaking? I had given the list, I understand. I had heard a challenge of the chair. So in the case of a challenge of the chair, is it a vote?
Sorry, we can,
So I had just gone with the list. I hadn't seen Mr. Angus. I had Mr. Shahal, Ms. Lapointe, Mr. Maloney, Mr. Bruce, and Mr. Angus. And I wasn't sure, Ms. Rempel-Garner.
So just point of order, who are you ruling was first in the speaking order?
Sorry?
Who are you ruling that was first in the speaking order?
Mr. Shahal.
Okay. All right. I guess you're in order then.
Well, I guess I feel, and I don't want to do this on the very first meeting, but since every single Liberal is on the list ahead, it seems to me that this is really not something that I think is fair. So I had my hand up from the get-go. I'm not trying to queue jump here, but we could talk till February before I actually get a chance to speak, given the experience at other committees. So I'm going to have to challenge this.
So we'll go directly to a vote, and the vote is on the speaking order.
so the vote is a challenge to the chair on the speaking order. If you, the question is, shall the decision of the chair stand? If you are in agreement with that, you say yay, and if you disagree, you say nay.
Or could you repeat that, just so we're very clear how we're voting? Sorry, just to be...
Yes, we are voting on a challenge to the chair, and the challenge to the chair is with respect to the speaking order. The chair has determined that Mr. Shahal is to go first, and there's a challenge to the chair on that. So if you agree, the question is, shall the decision of the chair sustain? And if you agree with that, you're to vote yay, and if you disagree, you vote nay. Okay?
So those all in favor?
I can do a recorded vote if you
Okay,
like.
okay.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
So Mr. Shahal?
Mr. Shahal?
Yay.
And Ms. Lapointe?
Yay.
Oh, can we
I'll
do-
go
Oh, you go?
first.
You
Yes,
tell me.
I'll
Sorry.
call the vote. No worries, no
The clerk's
worries.
going to leave us.
I've got the order here. Thank you very much, everybody, for your patience. Mr. Bruson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Ms. Lapointe?
Yes.
Hi.
Mr. Maloney?
Yes.
Mr. Morrison?
No.
Mr. Malilo?
No.
Ms. Rempel-Garner?
No.
Mr. Workington?
No.
Monsieur Simard?
No.
Mr. Angus?
No.
I have 5 yeas and 6 nays.
All right, the ruling of the chair is being overturned or not held up by the members. And so that then puts Mr. Angus first, Mr. Shahal second, Ms. Lapointe third, Mr. Maloney fourth, and Ms. DeBruson fifth. And is there anybody else wanting to get on the speaking list at this point? Okay, that's the list we'll go with at this point then. Mr. Angus.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chair and Madame Clerk, and I'm certainly say I'm very sorry I had to do this because I have enormous respect for the work of the clerk. But I also, as the only member for the New Democratic Party, I sometimes have to feel I need to assert my place because I'm with two bigger parties. So there's no personal intent here, and I do want to thank Mr. Maloney. I understand he was an excellent chair, and I believe that we are going to get along very well. I got the floor because I had stated my intention to bring forward a motion. I brought forward a motion because we have a lot of work ahead of us right now, and we have to hit the ground running for February. We cannot dilly-dally. Given the crisis we're facing in the planet, given the promises that the Prime Minister has made regarding our international obligations, it's incumbent upon this committee to do the hard work in order to make sure that we ensure that Canada lives up to its obligations. It started off when I brought forward my motion. I had outreach from some of the other parties about how to improve the motion so that we could actually be more efficient at this meeting so we were not at cross purposes. So I would like to bring forward this motion. Pursuant to Standing Order 1082, before February 15th, 2022, the committee undertake a two-meeting study concerning the development and implementation of the Emissions Reduction Fund onshore program, with particular focus on the method of accounting for greenhouse gases, that the committee invite the Minister of Natural Resources, the Commissioner of the Environment and Sustainable Development, experts and stakeholders, that the committee make recommendations on the future of the program, and that the committee report its findings to the House. That the Minister of Natural Resources be invited to appear before the committee prior to February 28, 2022, for no fewer than 2 hours on the subject matter of the supplementary estimates, B 2021-2022. And that pursuant to Standing Order 1082, during the next 8 meetings after this, the committee undertake a study of the government's proposal for a greenhouse gas emissions cap on the oil and gas sector, including but not limited to the ability of Canada to meet its climate commitments articulated at the UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP26 in Glasgow, the government's plans and targets for funding renewable energy, the role of carbon capture, utilization and sequestration, CCUS, that experts and stakeholders be invited to appear, that the Minister of Natural Resources and the Minister of Environment be invited to appear, and that the committee report its finding to the House prior to April 29, 2022. So I won't take a lot of time. I'm just going to explain to my colleagues around the table why I think it's very important that we pass this motion as the beginning of our work as a committee. Certainly the issue of reduction of methane is one of the most primary tasks that we have to be able to deal with as a country. And that the fund that was in place, the Emissions Reduction Fund, the onshore program, received over $500 million. And it was money that was supposed to be used to ensure that we reached methane targets. And my colleague, Mr. Simard, is very clear on the importance of getting answers on this, because we find that Canada missed its methane targets, and that money that should have been spent helping us decrease greenhouse gas emissions, it wasn't spent on that. We have an obligation to find out what went wrong in order to make sure this doesn't happen again, because when I speak with people in industry, they say we can easily hit the methane targets and we can exceed them. So if the Prime Minister is making promises of further reductions in methane when we haven't met the ones we already have, we need, as a committee, to provide recommendations to the government on what went wrong with this program, what needs to be fixed, and how we meet methane targets. The second part of this motion regarding inviting the Minister of Natural Resources to talk to us on supplementary estimates is very much, I think, in order of housekeeping, because this will come up, and if we agree to a study in that time, we would have to be jostling around committee time. So I thought it would be, from advice I got from members of other parties, to just put it in so that it's part of the work program. And of course, we're going to have the minister come forward on that because it's self-evident. The third issue, of course, is the need to have a plan on the emissions cap. We know that on November 1st in Glasgow, the Prime Minister made a very important announcement to the world that we will cap, his quote, "We will cap oil and gas sector emission today and ensure they decrease tomorrow at a pace and scale need to reach net zero by 2050. He went further. That's no small task for a major oil and gas producing country. It's a big step that's absolutely necessary. And I think that my colleagues from all parties would agree on the importance of us examining how are we going to make this emissions cap. Does it begin now? We know that there is somewhat of a cap in Alberta, but that would allow for a large increase in production. Is the government going to support increased production or decreasing production? How are we going to do that? And it comes to our committee to deal with this, my colleagues, because on the same day that he made the announcement at Glasgow, the Environment Minister wrote to this committee, the Net Zero Advisory Body, which I'd never actually heard of, to ask for advice. So I'm thinking if the Environment Minister was looking for advice on how to set an emissions cap while the Prime Minister was making announcements on the international stage, our committee could do a lot of that work for the Prime Minister, and we could come back with a credible plan, and each of us will bring our own focus to it. For me, we have to have a plan that makes sure that our children have a world that's livable. We have to meet an emissions cap target that is credible, that is doable, that will be reached because emissions continue to rise. And we need to do it within a frame of also the economic impacts. If sectors are going to be impacted, is there a plan for transition? We hear the word just transition thrown out about, and I'm sure we'll end up looking at these issues later, but it all comes down to whether or not we can deliver on an emissions cap. If we can't deliver on an emissions cap, there's no talk about going further on issues like the just transition. So I'm bringing this forward for a vote. I don't see that it is controversial. I think that across party lines we all agree on it, on these issues, so I'd like to put it forward to be voted on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Angus. And if I could just pause for a second, please, as I said, bear with me as I get my legs back under me as far as chairing. And I haven't operated in this virtual environment before, so again, my apologies with trying to sort out hands up in different orders, and I'll be try to be much more aware of that. Now, I see that on the screen I do have 4 hands up. I don't know if that's still waiting to speak. The clerk advises me that as we have a motion in front of us, we need to deal with this before we go to other motions. And so perhaps if anybody on screen has their hand up for the next round of speaking, I'll get you to take your hands down. If it's to speak to this motion, then we'll go with the order. And Ms. Rempel-Garner, you had your hand up. Was that to go onto the speaking list or to speak to this motion?
To this motion.
This motion, okay.
Yes.
So did anybody, all of the hands have been up on screen prior to Ms. Rempel-Garner. Is everybody wanting to speak to this one? Okay, so I'm seeing nods, yes. So, so Mr. Shell, if you take your hands down. Ms. Lapointe, did you want to speak to this one? You did? Okay, so we'll go with Ms. Lapointe first.
If I can jump in, sorry, I keep jumping in on this, but I think that the way it works on Zoom is that the person in the left-hand corner is first in order usually, but I could be wrong on how it appears.
Yeah, I think they do change depending on screens, and so I'm looking at my, and so Ms. Lapointe was actually Mr. Shahal, then Ms. Lapointe, then Mr. Maloney, and then Ms. DeRoos. And so go with Ms. Lapointe as the next.
I apologize. I'm having difficulty opening or reviewing the motion, so I just need I'll put my hand down if you want and put it back up so I can be in a different order. I'm just not seeing the motion in front of me right now to be able to debate.
Okay, so the motion has been emailed to everybody to their P9s by the clerk just now. And so if everybody would like to check and make sure you have it, I'll go to Mr. Maloney. Ms. LaPointe, I'll put you after Mr. Bruce. And so Mr. Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To be clear, I wanted to speak to this, and I had something else I wanted to speak to as well. So I'm not sure how the hands going up and down is going to play out on that one, but that remains to be seen. First,
sorry, if I
my
could just say,
comments,
so I'll keep you on for this one, and then we also have another list for other things after we're through this motion, and you're on that one as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you for your kind remarks earlier, but Mr. Angus, thank you for your generous comments about being a chair of this committee before. One of the things about this committee that always stood out to me and other members was that we were always able to get along incredibly well. There was virtually no conflict, and when there was disagreement, it was easily resolved through discussion and not confrontation. I know Mr. Malello is in the room. I can't see him, but I'm hoping his head is nodding up and down and not left to right. I'm sure it is. And I don't see any reason we can't continue that. I almost voted with you, Mr. Angus, on your challenge to the chair, but I didn't think that would go over well because I didn't want us to get off on that sort of foot either. But one of the ways we managed to accomplish these goals was to compromise. And I know you've introduced this motion, and I haven't seen it in writing, although I gather it's being emailed around. I would like to do so based on what I heard you say. There's a lot in there that I agree with you about that we should be talking about, and probably everybody does. But it does need to be translated in fairness to Mr. Simard and others who may want that option to read it in French.
Point of order, Chair. The motion has been translated.
Okay.
The motion that has been circulated is translated.
Okay, but that just furthers my point. I have not seen it, so
okay.
I apologize for that. But there's going to be a number of other motions that I suspect people want to put forward. Some of them I'm confident will overlap in part, if not in large part, with this motion. So what I would suggest is maybe that we take advantage of the subcommittee that was just formed pursuant to the routine motions, and we table all of the proposed motions today, and that the subcommittee then review them. And I agree with Mr. Angus' sentiment that we don't want to lose any time and we want to hit the ground running. But I would hate to be in a situation where, we adopt a motion and then other members see later there were other motions that they might have thought were something that they should put ahead of, or that they could merge with or do in conjunction with, whatever the case may be. Anyway, all I'm saying is there's a solution to this. Rather than going with the first one and not hearing about the other ones, I would propose that we hear all of the motions and then that we put it over to the subcommittee. And look, the subcommittee could even, there's a way to deal with this the first week we come back in the end of January. We could have witnesses ready to go quite soon, because I suspect whatever study we're going to do is going to involve department officials. We can have those people queued up to go on whatever route we take. And then my last point is, there was some unfinished work from this committee in the last session. And when I say unfinished, I mean we were, within sight of the finish line. There was one report, we had heard all of the witnesses. We had started to discuss drafting instructions, but we hadn't finished it. It's a topic that I'm pretty confident Mr. Angus would be interested in. I'm also confident that my Conservative colleagues would be interested in it, because it was actually a study that resulted from a motion from one of their colleagues. So that's something else we need to consider, and that could be done in pretty short order if we were to adopt that. But that's just one of many. So my suggestion is perhaps with the room's consent, that we hear about other motions and then decide how to move forward procedurally thereafter. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for those comments. And what we'll do is we'll go through, hear everybody's comments, and then work through how we want to deal with this motion and other ones that come forward. So, Mr. Bruce, and you're up next.
Thank you. And congratulations, Mr. Aldag, on being chair. I'm really looking forward to working with you. And I'm sorry I'm not in a room with everyone else, but I look forward to working with all of you too over the coming months in the next session. So I had a couple of questions, or that kind of came to mind when I was looking at this. In first point, just because Mr. Angus had raised the net zero advisory body. That was a body that was established. It's actually part of the whole C12 bill that had been passed in the last parliament, that there would be a net zero advisory body. So it will have an ongoing function of advising on how we achieve net zero by 2050. Just as a point on that. One thing that I was wondering, it's kind of a long motion, and I'm just trying to get through it right now because it was just sent to me. But as I was looking through it, one of the questions I had was about the last part, which includes having the Minister of Environment come as well, and raises a point that might be something that Environment Committee would ultimately be studying too. Maybe the clerk can help me, because I seem to remember that there's a possibility for joint sittings between committees. And I was just wondering what's the process for that, if that was something that we'd be interested in.
Just give us 1 second. The clerk is consulting. Okay, so apparently the process would be that the two chairs would meet to determine if there was interest in doing a joint meeting, and if there was, then all members of both committees would come together for a joint hearing. So that would be the process. And go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead, because I
was
actually
going to say
I've never seen this done.
Could be something that could be directed perhaps through the subcommittee, if that would be the desire to go with that kind of approach.
Okay, I only flag it because my understanding is that at least that third bullet point might be largely something that's been also proposed for environment to be looking at. So I just want to make sure that we maybe have that conversation. And the only other piece that I would leave, and again, this is all stuff that can be dealt with at the subcommittee, but is if it's a bullet point to a larger motion, because this motion has 3 parts to it, is there a way to break out one part of the motion that would go to for a joint sitting, or does it have to be the whole study? Again, it's just because I've never done that process before.
We're looking into that, so let's hold that. As I prepare to move to Ms. Lapointe, and Julie, Mr. Bruce, and we'll come back to you as we sort this out. But I did want to find out if the committee feels that the members feel they need a minute or two to read the motion that has been circulated, or if we're good doing it on the fly. And I was corrected. It's Ms. Rempel-Gardner, and then Ms. Lapointe, and then Mr. Angus in the clerk's speaking order, and then Mr. Malillo. So, Ms. Rempel-Gardner.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Angus, for moving this motion. I support it. I just wanted to make a few points on issues that have been raised, but I want to speak to the substance of the motion first. The first part of the motion with regard to the emission reduction fund, the onshore program, Mr. Angus has raised concerns that I also shared upon reading the Commissioner of the Environment and Sustainable Development report, which I also understand from Mr. Angus's remarks that Mr. Simard also shares. So there seems to be agreement among parties of all political stripe that this is an important issue for us to look at. particularly with regard to the impact that this has on climate change and the urgency of that issue. So I do believe that the first bullet point would be material and important for this committee to study. The second part of the motion, to me, makes a lot of sense. It also gives the minister over 2 months to find a date with the chair to appear on supplementary estimates. That is a very long period of time. I would not like to come back to Parliament and have to waste a meeting slot on a subcommittee to have the minister come for supplementary estimates. I think that's something that we should dispose of today. And it also allows the minister to find time in his calendar over the break. A similar argument for the way that the last part of the motion is worded as well. This also gives the chair ample opportunity to work with the minister's offices to come up with times to appear before committee on the last matter. I'd also like to speak in favor strongly of the last part of the motion. We do need climate action. We also need clarity and stability for the natural resources sector, particularly the oil and gas sector, and understanding the details with regard to the Prime Minister's announcement that he made at COP26. The lack of details that were put forward in that announcement, I have heard both from civil society in the environmental activist group, as well as in the environmental activist community, as well as within industry groups and from provincial stakeholders. The lack of stability that has occurred because there is no plan on that is troubling in terms of our ability to both protect the workers, the jobs and workers that are in affected industries, as well as meet our climate objectives. So I think this is probably one of the most important and pressing things this committee could be doing right now. It falls squarely within the scope of this committee, given the impact that it has on the oil and gas sector. And I do not want this punted to committee. This is an excellent motion. It programs the committees out, and it gives the chair the ability to begin putting witnesses together so that we can hit the ground running upon the commencement of the session in February. We have not met in this committee. I don't believe it's met in, over 6 months now? And given the impact on the sector of all these issues, we have to get to work. I would like to think that a rare moment of consensus could break out over this motion. This motion is neutrally worded. It doesn't come to any sort of conclusion. It doesn't take any sort of political position. It is a well-worded committee motion. It seeks to inquire on the government's plans. It doesn't take a position on the government's plans, but it seeks to do some work that is very material to many groups in the country. I would not be in favor of, particularly given that we are in a hybrid situation where resources are limited, of wasting more meetings on scheduling when we have a good motion like this ahead of time. I would remind colleagues that a committee founding meeting is usually when we address business. And, if colleagues have other ideas, I am open to taking calls from anybody, including the Liberal Party, on how we can move forward. But we should come prepared here with how we should. So if colleagues, have any other suggestions on the motion, they're welcome to do that here. But I certainly strongly support this. I want to thank Mr. Angus for putting it forward today. And I'm very much looking forward to hopefully it passing, and I hope other colleagues will as well, and us spending some time over the next several weeks getting our witness list ready, hopefully collaborating behind the scenes so that we can get started with the study. So that's my 2 cents. Good work, Charlie.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rumpel-Garner. So just to clarify for process, what we're doing is we're going to go through, hear from comments from everybody who's asked to weigh in on this motion, and then we'll be asking if there are any amendments to the motion that would like to be put forward, and then we'll be taking a decision on the amendments and the motion. So just if make sure we're all on the same page there. Now, the next speaking, we have Ms. Lapointe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My comments and my concerns are very similar to those that have been expressed by my colleague MP Maloney. This is a very important issue. I absolutely agree with that. And that is why I think it's very important that we are allotted the time to review this motion and look at it in full detail. We just received the motion this evening. I know for myself, I don't feel that I am prepared to be able to weigh in on this motion. I would appreciate an opportunity to be able to do my full proper research and make sure I understand it fully.
Mr. Angus next. Mr. Angus, you're up next.
Well, thank you. And I welcome Ms. Lapointe to our committee. We will have 3 members from Northern Ontario, so I'm sure we're going to work well. And so I say this with all the greatest respect, but people who show up at our committee have to come prepared. It is simply too much of a luxury to say, let's put this off till February so people can read a motion. That's not on. We are dealing with a planetary crisis. We are dealing with the biggest crisis that has faced our country in terms of climate and economy. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are dependent in the energy sector from Newfoundland out to BC. And we have to be ready to give the Prime Minister and government recommendations in good faith. And Mr. Maloney, great respect for your work, as I've already said, but as you know, if a motion is on the floor to be debated and voted on, you could vote it down and bring forward another motion. We could vote on this, get it, and then deal with the other motions. I certainly think that this is something we should all be agreed upon, and I'm ready to vote on it. In terms of bringing the Environment Minister to our committee, I don't think we need to complicate it by saying, well, we need to reach out to the Environment Committee to have some kind of large group meeting, as much as we all love each other. The fact is that the Prime Minister set up 2 cabinet committees on the climate crisis, and one has the Natural Resources Minister and one has the Environment Minister. I want to know that they both have a plan, because who's making the decisions, we're not sure. So to invite the Environment Minister on the emissions cap, it was the Environment Minister who wrote to the advisory body about the emissions cap, so he needs to come to our committee. The Natural Resources Minister obviously needs to come to our committee because he is dealing with the sector. So those 2 ministers have to be here. So I'm watching the time. I don't know how long people want to stay tonight. I'm not going anywhere in the snow, so I'm ready to stay all night. But I would think we could get this out of the way, and then we have, Mr. Maloney says we have some other motions. I am more than willing to hear them. I'm more than willing to vote for them, but I am not willing to say let's put this off to a subcommittee, because the subcommittee means that we would not be able to come back till February. And if we don't come back till February, it robs me, as the only member of the New Democratic Party, the opportunity to do the research necessary to bring forward the witnesses that we need so that we can do the work, so we have a month to prepare for what I think are going to be some of the defining studies that's going to happen in this Parliament. So I'm ready to vote.
Okay, Mr. Maloney, you're next. Then we have Monsieur Simard and then Ms. DeBrusen.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Look, Mr. Angus and Ms. Rempel-Garner, I don't disagree with very much of what you said, although with Ms. Rempel-Garner's case, I hope that moments of consensus are not rare. I hope they're common in this committee. I agree with both of you that we need to come prepared to this meeting, and we are. But if coming prepared means getting your hand up first, I'm not sure that's really what we're talking about, because the reality is everybody around this table has some ideas that they would like to share with the table on how we move forward. But if the reason we don't do that is because Mr. Angus got his hands up first, I don't think it's fair to characterize anybody or any group of people as not being properly prepared. What we're trying to do here is get a
point
consensus.
Of order?
Sure, go ahead.
I certainly didn't suggest because my hand was up first that people weren't prepared. I was responding to Ms. Lapointe, who said she wanted to spend the month reading the motion.
Okay, and that's fair. I don't think she said spend the month reading the motion. look, I just got the motion, 5 minutes ago, and I'm trying to read it while I'm listening to you, Mr. Angus. I think that's all her point is. And as I said earlier, there's a lot in there, some good stuff in there, and I'd like to give it some consideration. I don't want, just to be clear, I don't want to wait until the end of January, the beginning of February, and come back here and have this discussion again either. But there is a compromise, and is that the subcommittee, and Mr. Angus, you're going to be on it, as is Mr. Simard. I'm not sure who the Conservative members are. That subcommittee could meet in sometime in January before the House starts sitting. I would suggest that at that subcommittee meeting that a number of motions be considered. We come out of there with a recommendation on the assumption that subcommittee members from the Liberals and the Conservatives go in there fully authorized to decide what goes first, so that between the time of that meeting and the time Parliament resumes, we can actually then agree on witnesses so we can start the meetings right away rather than losing more time. Because the other problem is we agree on this motion or any other motion today, and then we still have to figure out who the witnesses are going to be. And this group collectively has to be involved in that discussion, in my view, because we're all going to submit lists of witnesses and we have to agree on it and perhaps vote on it. There's going to be overlap there. So I'm not trying to slow down the process, quite the contrary. I'm trying to accelerate the process because I want to come back at the end of the month and get going right away too. But I think the easiest way to do that, to accomplish everybody's goal, is to do as I suggest and have a subcommittee meeting then. Because Mr. Angus, you face the possibility, and you don't want to see this, and I don't want to see this, if we're forced to vote on this now, some people might vote no just so they can move on to discuss the next motion, even though there's parts or all of this motion of yours that they would like to support. So I don't want to see it get dismissed or voted on for reasons that aren't totally based on merit. That's where I'm coming from. So I'm not trying to slow things down. I'm not trying to put somebody else's motions ahead of yours or anything else like that. I just want to make sure that we're all able to take in all of the information that we have available to us, and we haven't heard it all yet, so that when we do come back, we can start off on that very first day. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move to Monsieur Simard.
Merci.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that James knows this. We worked very well together last time in a spirit of collaboration, and now we have to see how we can be efficient at the same time. I don't think this motion should be sent to the subcommittee. The motion is vast enough, and there is a consensus between Michelle, Charlie, and I. There is a consensus. Certain people said that what was in the motion was interesting, so I think it should be agreed upon today. And then we could see how we would proceed in the subcommittee, but we could vote on it, vote in favor today, and then during our next meetings, we would see how we would proceed. I think it would be much more efficient to vote immediately on this motion, and then we would be able to see how we would work with this in the subcommittee. But it should not be sent to the subcommittee. We would be wasting a lot of time if it was sent to the subcommittee. I think we have a consensus here.
Mr. Bruson?
Thank you. So I'm just part of the thing that I just got this. So as far as preparation goes, I hadn't actually had a chance to review this motion until it just arrived. I'm happy to be reading it now and discussing it, but I'm just looking at how it breaks apart, and it's kind of like three studies in one, which is part of the challenge that I believe Mr. Maloney had raised about, when everyone gets their hands up and which motions get considered. I'm also going to point out that SUPs B have already been adopted, so I'm not sure how that works as part of this motion. Is there a way to break this into three separate studies, and again recognizing SUPs B is already gone, so maybe we talk about when SUPs C will happen, and then have it go to the subcommittee to consider each as a separate separate study for analysis, and that way we can kind of look at it as, you know, as a way of going through all of them and then considering the other motions that will be tabled as well. That way they're all kind of coming up, but that's just, anyway, that's one thought, is a way to deal with it, as long with the other motions that have been proposed. And maybe as a friendly amendment, that to the second bullet, what we would do is just amend it to be on sub C instead, if any, and main estimates, and take away the reference to the sub B, given that that's already passed as far as timing anyway. So two suggestions. One, that we break them into three separate motions, and then we can do, because they are really three separate studies in any event, and that the second bullet be to sub C, if any, and mains.
Okay.
And in that way, that we
yep.
can deal with it all. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Angus, you had your hand up for this part of the discussion.
Yeah, I think the sub Bs matter because we haven't had a chance to review them, and we have to be able to put all this in context for our work. So if the government wants to bring forward on the sub Cs, I'll be more than willing to take that as well. But at this point, and given that the time is carrying on and it's snowing out there, I'm not willing to break this motion apart and send it to be studied by analysts or anybody else. It's at committee. It's followed the appropriate form. We're all ready for the work that lies ahead, and we all agree that this is important work. So I would say let's get down and vote.
Okay. Have we heard from everybody on weighing in on this? Mr. Maloney.
So I just have a question for Mr. Angus. I'm not going to repeat anything I've said already, but if we vote on this motion and it's successful, we're then going to hear from other motions. Are you prepared to then have the subcommittee consider sequence and timing and whatnot? Because if this goes ahead as it is, I mean, this is going to take the committee right through until, well, probably until April.
Well, you know, Mama Angus never raised her boy to answer hypotheticals in a political world. But I'm feeling like I'm being very. I'm sorry, she was a gold miner's daughter. She taught her son well. But I am in good faith here. I don't know where you're bringing motions, but if we move on motions and there's stuff that needs, and there's outstanding business from the previous Parliament, I think we can all agree if there's outstanding business we've agreed on, we're going to make sure that it gets done, because it's about making sure that we didn't waste the resources of Parliament by having a study that's sitting there ready for an answer. But I would say let's vote on this, let's get the other motions, and then if there's conflicts, then we can come back and figure a way to get a solution.
Okay, Mr. Bruce, and you have your hand up, and then we're also approaching the end of the time we had allotted for this meeting, and so we need to deal with that. So, Mr. Bruce.
Sorry, the joys of the Zoom meeting. So I guess it goes to, you know, I've been trying to reach agreement, because I actually, you know, agree in principle with a lot of what's being said about the importance of the issues to be studied. The question for me is how we do it, and I think also going to what Mr. Maloney had raised. What I would like is to propose a friendly amendment to the second bullet, as I had mentioned before, and I'm going to do this more formally so that it could be voted upon, which is, I'm sorry, now I'm on a screen, I'm going to have to pull up. The second bullet says that the Minister of Natural Resources be invited to appear before the committee prior to February 28th, 2022 for no fewer than 2 hours on the subject matter of the Supplementary Estimates B 2021-2022. Given that that's already been adopted by Parliament, it's already been voted upon by Parliament on the supplementary estimates, I would suggest that the amendment be that it reads instead that the Minister of Natural Resources be invited to appear before the committee for no fewer than 2 hours on the subject matter of Supplementary Estimate C, if any, and main estimates.
a friendly question. Would the members' amendment be agreeable to B and C? I think it would then, because we will be asking if you will. So,
I would like
Sorry.
the minister to not escape scrutiny for both the B and the C. I don't want him at one meeting for both. I would like him at 2 meetings. So I am very excited about him coming for B. And then if we need to move a motion later to have him for C, we can do it at that time. I am not in favor of a 2-for-1 for the minister. Thank you.
Okay, have we heard from everybody? So we're at just beyond the scheduled time of 5:30. I understand we have this room until 6:30. We cannot go beyond 6:30 because of cleaning purposes and COVID and all sorts of other things. But do the members of the committee desire to continue going to sort through this motion and others until, but no later than 6:30? Okay, I'm seeing everybody in agreement. Okay, Mr. Maloney.
Sorry, it just occurred to me that any reference to the minister appearing at committee, whether it's B and C or B with C, regardless of where we land, it should contain a provision that's subject to the minister's availability because, again, Mario and Eric will remember the ministers have always been more than willing to come to this committee, but they don't, they're not always available sort of at our beck and call, but they will go out of their way to come. So I don't want to, make it on a certain date or within a certain time frame if that's not something that's possible on the minister's end. So there needs some flexible language needs to be built into it.
Point of
We have
order.
Mr. Angus and then Ms. Rempel-Garner.
Actually, just on a point of order.
Okay.
The provision is assumed, Chair. The committee can't force the minister to appear. They can only invite them. So it's more of a political problem if the committee invites them and they choose not to come.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Angus.
yeah, I didn't put in dates because it's practice for the minister will get back to us and say when they're available, and we will adjust our schedule around that.
Okay.
Are we debating the amendment now, or because if there is an amendment tabled, we do have to vote on that
Right.
first?
Well, what I was going to say,
motion.
yeah, my understanding was that this was the discussion part of it. Then we were going to look at specific amendments. So we do have one from Mr. Well, we have amendments from Mr. Bruce, and I was going to come back to her. Any other amendments that want to be put forward, we'll vote on those, and then we'll go to the amended motion as figured out, and then we figure out if we're carrying that or not. So I think, Mr. Bruce, and you had the a couple of amendments that you had put forward there, so I'll give you the floor.
Point of order, Chair. You have to move. You have to dispose of the amendment that is on the floor first. Thank you.
Okay. Well. Okay. So which was because she put forward. Which amendment?
Point of order, she put forward for sub Cs, so that is what we're debating. So we would vote on that. If she wants to change and have something else, she can have a second amendment. But the amendment
Right, okay.
is on sub Cs.
If I can speak to my amendment, and just because I believe that there was a question and it might, from Mr. Angus, and it might help with how we resolve that one. I was okay with it being B and C, which is, I believe, what he had proposed as a friendly sub-amendment to my amendment. So I don't know if that was something that he was formally proposing, but if so, that's fine with me.
So if we could have the amendment, it's on the second bullet. Is that where we're at? And it's that, because what I had marked down, we were going to remove the prior to February 28th, 2022. Is that part of this motion or this amendment? And then...
It is, yeah, it was part of mine, yes.
And then for no fewer than 2 hours on the subject matter of the supplementary estimates B and sub C. Is that the wording of the amendment?
If I may, and I'm just looking for clarity about whether there was a motion for a sub-amendment, but mine had actually been sub Cs, if any, in mains, but I was willing to accept the suggestion by Mr. Angus for B's and C's and main estimates.
So procedurally, we Mr. Bruce, if for the clerk's sake, and I think everybody here, if you could read then the amendment as you'd like to put forward on the second bullet. So we'll let you take the pen and give it as you had proposed. And if you could just read it so we all have the exact wording that you're putting forward for us.
I'm assuming that was for
Yeah,
me, Mr.
for you,
Chair?
for you, Mr. Bruson.
So you want what I suggested in the first instance, or what I was willing to accept as the friendly sub-amendment to my amendment from Mr. Angus? I'm just trying to be sure I'm clear on where we're at now.
I'm just looking to the clerk to see what we can accept. Including the front. So, Mr. Bruson, if you can read out what you're proposing with friendly amendment, if that's what you're, sorry, what's that?
Clarity, Chair, there's no such thing as a friendly amendment.
Well,
For clarity on committee purposes, it should be, is the parliamentary secretary amending the motion so that all committee members are clear what they're voting on?
Right. Okay. So fair enough. So it's, if you could give us what the motion or the amendment is that you're putting forward, read it to us. We will take that as the amendment that's being put forward, and that's what we'll vote on.
Okay. And I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just checking to see if there had been a proposed sub-amendment to my amendment, because it sounds like I was going to adopt that. So in the first instance, what I had proposed as my amendment was that the Minister of Natural Resources be invited to appear before the committee for no fewer than 2 hours on the subject matter of supplementary estimate C, if any, and mains. And I think that's where it ended. So that was my amendment. And
Okay.
then I understood Mr. Angus to suggest a sub-amendment to that, to say B and Cs.
So do we deal with
And
that
mains.
amendment first? So is there a sub-amendment from Mr. Angus?
I am more than willing to work with all my beloved here, because it's the way my mama raised me. So I would have no problem making a friendly amendment for B and C, as long as it is for the period of the 2 hours that we had stipulated in the first part of the motion. Is that correct?
Okay.
The 2 hours is correct. Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
So we have a sub-amendment that we will then vote. So if everybody's in favor of the including supplementary estimate B to the amendment that's been put forward, that would also include sub-Cs and, if any, and mains. So is that what we call? So everybody,
Chair, so my understanding is that you've taken out that Mr. Bruson's motion takes out the deadline of February 28th.
right.
Well, it depends on the minister's schedule, right? So we can't order that anyways.
You're never going to get him.
We'll get them.
I would put it in there so we can shame them when he doesn't come, but.
The clerk has just
He
said
will
is that
come.
the sub-amendment that we have is for the tail end of this, which is on the subject matter of the supplementary estimates B, C, if any, and mains. So that's the sub-amendment that we're discussing now. Are we able to call the question on that piece of it? And then if we agree, then the amended one comes back, which takes out the prior to February 28th, and we'll be debating that or discussing that next. is
So we
everybody
would vote
clear?
on this, and then if my colleague is concerned about losing the February 28th, but We'll vote on it. I'm ready to vote.
Okay, so we'll call the vote on the sub-amendment, which is including supplementary estimates B, sub C, if any, and mains. So all in favor? Do you call it or?
I will call a recorded division
Okay,
if the committee
recorded
will
division.
wishes.
Recorded division.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Aldag.
Do I vote?
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Going alphabetical order here. My apologies. Mr. Shahal.
Yes. In favor.
Mr. Bruson.
Yes, in favor.
Ms. Jones.
In favor.
Ms. Lapointe.
In favor.
Mr. Maloney.
In favor.
Mr. Malilo.
Against.
Ms. Rempel Garner.
Against.
Mr. Morrison.
Against.
Mr. Workington.
Against.
Monsieur Simard.
No.
Mr. Angus.
I'll vote for.
5. I have 6 yeas and 5 nays.
So the amendment is carried,
The sub-amendment.
or the sub-amendment, and so then the amended. So now do we do the full motion as?
He will.
So now we go to the motion as put forward with the sub-amendment of removing prior to February 28th, 2022 in the second bullet, but with the addition that was just carried. So it's the full motion as amended now.
This is the amendment. We just
So the amendment is. So the,
voting on the amendment now, and then we'll go back to
okay. So the vote on this one is the removal of prior to February 28th, 2022 in bullet 2. Are we ready to vote on that? Okay, so recorded division?
I will call a vote.
Okay.
Mr. Shahal.
I apologize. Can you please reread that to me? The
So
second motion was,
So it's taking the second bullet, which will then read that the Minister of Natural Resources be invited to appear before the committee for no fewer than 2 hours on the subject matter of the supplementary estimates B, C, if any, and mains.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, we'll proceed to the vote.
Right. Mr. Shahal.
Yes.
Mr. Bruson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Lapointe.
In favor.
Mr. Maloney.
In favor.
Mr. Malilo.
Against.
Ms. Rempel Garner.
No.
Mr. Morrison.
No.
Mr. Workington.
No.
Monsieur Simard.
No.
Mr. Angus.
No.
5 yeas and 6 nays.
So then the motion, so we'll now vote on the motion, which then retains the prior to February 28th, 2022, and also contains the sub-estimates B, sub C, if any, and mains. Right?
Mr. Shahal.
Mr.
Mr.
Shaw?
Shahal.
No.
Mr. Bruson. Yes. Mr. Bruson.
This is the original motion, right? Yeah, without the amendment, right? I just need to get clarification, please. This is the main motion. Yeah.
We are voting on the main motion as amended. Okay,
Sorry,
Mr. Bruson?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, could you could we just read the section again? I think there's some
Yeah, for clarification.
there's some confusion there. I don't believe the amendment passed. So we are voting on the main
passed,
motion.
The amendment did not pass.
Okay.
So the motion that we have is as presented, except the second bullet retains the prior to February 28th, 2022, and then the sub-amendment that was carried includes supplementary estimates B, sub C, if any, and mains.
Thank you.
Those are that's the new package, so otherwise as it presented. Right, we're getting clarification.
I hope everybody knows that a camel was a racehorse that was designed by committee. So we're just having to go through what we added to the camel's structure to make sure we're ready to vote.
Did your mother tell you that too?
No, my sainted mother told me that if I was going to get a penalty, I might as well draw blood.
Do
She's
we
from
have the
Timmins.
same mother? Honestly, that's sage advice.
My mother goes to mass every day
That's
and
amazing.
takes no
I'm
prisoners.
from Thunder Bay, Charlie. I get it.
Look at your last name there, Mr. Maloney. You come from a good stock.
Thank you.
It ain't Friday now. When I get a Friday.
All right, we have clarification, and can we'll restart the vote with Mr. Shahal. Okay, so clarification, I'll come to you, Mr. Shahal. Because although the sub-amendment was carried, the amendment was defeated, so that kills both of them. And so what we're now voting on is the original motion as put forward by Mr. Angus with no amendments. Okay, so that's where we're at. Mr. Shell, did you have a point before we start the vote? Otherwise, we'll... No, okay. So we'll then turn it over to the clerk for the recorded vote.
Okay, I'll proceed with the vote. Thanks again, everybody, for your patience. I appreciate that. Mr. Shahal.
Yes.
Mr. Bruson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Lapointe.
In favor.
Mr. Maloney.
Yes.
Mr. Malilo.
In favor?
Ms. Rempel-Garner.
In favor.
Mr. Morrison.
Yes.
Mr. Workington.
No.
Monsieur Simard.
Oui.
Mr. Angus.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 yeas, 1 nay.
He just wouldn't give me the love.
Motion is carried. Now, we have a list of others who had wanted to speak, and I assume this, well, we won't assume anything. So now that this has been carried, we'll go to the list. Do you have it? There was the list that was going to be, Mr. Angus was first, and then we'd had, actually, it was Mr. Shahal, and then Mr. Maloney, and then Ms. Lapointe. I think Mr. Bruson had all been on there with their hands up.
Okay, I apologize. I
Okay. Well, we'll start over. So I have Mr. Maloney as first, and if anybody else wants to speak now to any other motions or any other business of the committee, we'll take that. So, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a motion here that's along the lines of what I said earlier about unfinished business from the last session. I'm hoping we can have two moments of consensus in one meeting. So the motion is as follows: that the committee take into consideration all evidence and documentation received as part of the study on the low carbon and renewable fuels industry in Canada during the second session of the 43rd Parliament, that pursuant to Standing Order 108.2, the committee undertake this study as its own and proceed to drafting instructions based on the evidence acquired in the previous session, and that the committee table its report in the House no later than February 28th, 2022. Mr. Chair, as I mentioned earlier, this is a study that we had completed all of the witnesses in June. I thought we had provided some preliminary drafting instructions, at least, if not formal drafting instructions. So there may actually be a draft report kicking around somewhere, but regardless of whether that's the case or not, drafting instructions were ready to be provided by all parties, and this is something that could be done very quickly, and it would be a shame, as Mr. Angus pointed out early, to not finish this after all the work that went into it. And there was a lot of meetings. I think there might have been 8 or 9 meetings in total. We heard from a lot of witnesses, and I just think it would be unfortunate and somewhat disrespectful to them if we were not to get this ball across the line. So I'm hoping that we will get consensus around the table to adopt this motion and that we can move on it forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Do we need it in writing? Do we need it in writing? Mr. Maloney, do you have that in writing that you could forward to the clerk in both languages, and then it can be distributed?
I will get that taken care of right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then to speak to this motion that Mr. Maloney, I have Mr. Shahal, Ms. Rumpel-Garner, and Mr. Angus, and Ms. Jones. So, Mr. Shahal.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't going to speak on this motion. It was a separate, but I do agree with my colleague, Mr. Maloney, that we should continue on the work and support this important work that was done by the committee. Thank you.
We'll keep you on my list then for when we conclude this one. Ms. Rumpel-Garner.
Thank you. I'm new to this committee, Chair. I think it would be inappropriate for us to proceed with writing a report for members who didn't have any opportunity to have input into its substantive matter, including my colleague, Mr. Chahal, who is newly elected. I also would point out that if this was so important to the Liberals, that they shouldn't have called an election. Like, come on. The last thing I would say is that this would interfere with the timeline that we just put forward to committee. It would take at least 2 meetings to review the meeting, and I think that we would have to invite witnesses again. So I'm not inclined to support it for that reason. And I would also remind colleagues from the Liberal Party that when the government calls an unnecessary election, things fall off the order paper. So it's a problem.
Mr. Angus.
I am very uncomfortable. I thought we were going to be looking at a motion of a report that was finished, and we were waiting for a response, and then it would be a straightforward thing to just bring forward the report, reintroduce it so that we could get a response. Because to take a study that wasn't completed and then do drafting instructions when I have had nothing to do with any of the witnesses, I don't know the direction. I think to me that would be a serious problem. And I'm sitting with the former chair of my last committee, Mr. Workington, and I know that we worked full out to get our final reports done and to Parliament, because we did not know, and this is political life 101. You do not know when a session ends if you're going to be taking that work up again, and it's incumbent upon the committee to try and have the work completed. So I feel very uncomfortable. If there's another motion that we are talking about work that had been finished, I'd be interested in that one, but I could not support giving drafting instructions to a report based on witness testimony on an issue that I have had nothing whatsoever to do with. I can't put my name to that.
Okay, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to support Mr. Maloney on this. I sat on the last committee and I was part of this study. There was we did this study based on the recommendations by the Conservative Party. It was their motion, and we certainly called many witnesses. We heard lots of evidence, and there was a lot of good work done in that process. I think when we come here as members, even though we represent ourselves, we also represent the broader perspective and platforms of our parties and the policies of our parties. And both the NDP was very engaged in this study, as well as the Conservatives and the Bloc. And I really believe that the evidence and the testimony that was given us and the work is advanced enough that we could very easily complete this report. And it would be a shame to have this expert testimony and this study fall off the table at this point.
Ms. Jones. I have Mr. Shahal, and then Mr. Simard, then Mr. Maloney. And Mr. Shahal, you're
Yes. Thank you, Chair. I agree with my colleague in her statement. I mean, there's been a tremendous amount of work done on this. We've had experts come in. It seems like the previous committee was quite collaborative. Everybody working together. This was a motion from the opposition that was brought forward, and everybody's worked hard, and I think the expert testimony should be included and a report provided. I think that's the right thing to do, to honor the work that's been done by everybody involved who put their time and energy forward. There's lots of, I'm sure, great ideas that will come from this, and this should be put together and brought forward for us for our consideration in the future, and for the ideas that can help move our country forward. So I'm happy to support this.
Okay, Monsieur Simard.
I rather agree with James, but my only problem is with the timeline. Why couldn't we send this motion to the subcommittee so we could discuss the timelines later? But I tend to agree with what James is suggesting. So to be more efficient, we could send it to the subcommittee and discuss it again later.
You have the floor, Mr. Maloney.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, first of all, in response to Mr. Simard, I'm prepared to remove the date. I'm not too fussed about it getting accomplished by February 28th. My only concern is it gets done at all. Look, I mean, if we're going to talk about consensus and whatnot, I mean, I've lost track somewhere along the line about the opposition talking about this unnecessary election, but it was probably raised today, and question period will probably be raised tomorrow, and you can say it over and over again. Take it out, if that's your view, which it is, you can say it to us over and over again. Don't take it out on the witnesses and all the people who work so hard to contribute to this study. And as has been said already, this was put forward by the Conservatives with the support of Mr. Simard and Mr. Cannings. Getting the drafting instructions is not a challenge in this situation. Mr. Simard was there. Mr. Angus, Mr. Cannings, I'm sure would be more than happy to pinch hit for you for one meeting to do that, as would others from the Conservative Party who were reelected. I'm sure they'd be happy to step in and do the same. There's no obstacle to this happening other than politics, and let's not let politics get in the way of something that we'd all agreed on previously from all parties, and get it done, because it is a sign of great respect to Parliament, but more importantly to those witnesses and experts that took the time to put pen to paper and give their time to show up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bruce, and you had your hand up.
Thank you. I was just going to suggest, because I don't believe that Mr. Maloney can amend his own motion, but he was suggesting the removal of the date. So if you need the amendment to remove the date reference, I'm happy to move that.
I have two more people wanting to weigh in on it. And actually, Mr. Workington, I think I might have missed you, and then Mr. Angus.
Yeah, thank you. I do agree with Mr. Angus. It would be difficult for members who weren't part of the study to be able to step in at the last minute as it's crossing the finish line. Of course, we did work diligently to get our reports done, but there was some information and some evidence that had been brought forward at the Ethics Committee with regards to the WE scandal. And unfortunately, I wish that Mr. Maloney was at that committee, because they actually said that they wouldn't. The Liberals said that they wouldn't allow that testimony to be brought forward in this Parliament, making the argument that it was outside of the current work of the committee. And so I do think that I think it's important for us to be consistent. I do think that we have a good work plan. Mr. Angus's motion has been now passed. I think that we can all get behind that. And I think that any other effort to try to delay or to stall out that would be difficult to now agree to, having just passed that motion. And so I will be opposing Mr. Maloney's motion.
Mr. Angus.
Thank you. Merci. En réponse to my colleague, Mr. Simard, je suis...
As a response to my colleague, Mr. Simard, I'm ready to find a compromise. I find it's important to use the subcommittee who can examine this situation and develop a plan. I'm concerned about the issue of voting on the motion now, but it's important to recognize the good work of this committee and also the efforts of witnesses. So I'm willing to discuss this question in the subcommittee in order to prepare a plan for the committee in order to find a solution.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. I appreciate the fact that he wants to work together and work with the subcommittee. I just want to make sure
to remove the date, just so that it's on the record. Ça va rendre la vie plus facile pour le sous-comité.
Okay, so
On that?
Mr. Angus.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the amendment was if we simply remove the date. I think the amendment would be that we send it to subcommittee to, we'd have to remove the date and send to subcommittee. So to then return it to our committee with recommendations of how to deal with this unfinished business.
So does that become, are you making a sub-amendment then?
I wanted to know if she had an amendment that simply removed the date, because that would not be sufficient. We would need to remove the date, and then we would actually then have to say that we will refer it to subcommittee to bring back a recommendation to the larger committee. If necessary, I'll make the sub-amendment to Madame de Brussen's amendment.
Sorry. Okay, does that works? Mr. Bruce, and the question is, would you like to add that to your amendment, the sending to subcommittee as well as removing the date, Or if not, then we'll treat it as a sub-amendment.
Well, I guess it was kind of an assumption that we send everything to subcommittee, but so I'm a little bit confused as to the need to specifically state it. I don't have a problem with it going to subcommittee, but it seems like we're going to go talk in circles forever if we do it.
Pardon,
So,
point d'ordre. On n'a plus de traduction présentement.
Okay, Monsieur Simard.
Ouais. Il n'y a plus de traduction présentement. Ah, c'est bon.
Okay, it's gone. Okay, we missed translation there.
alors, j'ai présumé que tout va.
I was supposing that everything would go to the subcommittee, but if Mr. Angus wants it to be written in the motion, I agree to take out the date and also write that it will go to the subcommittee.
As amended, removing the date and sending subcommittee. Do you want recorded division? Okay.
Mr. Shahal,
Yes.
Mr. Bruson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Lapointe,
In favor.
Mr. Maloney,
Yes.
Mr. Malilo,
Yes.
Ms. Rempel Garner,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mr. Workington,
Yes.
Mr. Simard,
Oui.
Mr. Angus,
We.
11 yeas.
Thank you. Now, I had Mr. Shahal with his hand up. So, Mr. Shahal, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I also have a motion. Request a government response to critical minerals study.
Point of order,
43-2.
Chair. You can't move a motion, a new substantive motion, when there's a motion on the floor.
Can we just dispense with that motion?
No, we dispensed with the amendment.
My apologies.
My apologies.
Okay, so we had the, I stand correct. The amendment was carried. Now we go to the vote on the amended motion that Mr. Maloney had brought forward. Okay.
Mr. Shahal,
Yes.
Mr. Bruson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Ms. Lapointe,
Yes.
Mr. Maloney,
Yes.
Mr. Malilo,
No.
Ms. Rempel Garner,
No.
Mr. Morrison,
No.
Mr. Workington,
No.
Mr. Simard,
Oui.
Mr. Angus.
We.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
That motion is carried. Now, Mr. Shahal, I recognize you.
Thank you, Chair. I have a motion. I'm just, pulling up now. Just lost my, give me one sec here. My apologies. Accidentally. Thank you, Chair. Request a government response to a critical mineral study, 43-2, that pursuant to Standing Order 108-2, the committee undertake a study of critical minerals and associated value chains in Canada, that the evidence and documentation received by the committee during the second session of the 43rd Parliament on the subject be taken into consideration by the committee in the current session, that the committee adopt the report entitled From Mineral Exploration to Advanced Manufacturing, Developing Value Chains for Critical Minerals in Canada, adopted during the second session of the 43rd Parliament and tabled in the House of Commons on June 17th, 2021, that pursuant to Standing Order 109, the committee requests the government to table a comprehensive response to the report.
Okay, is there any discussion? I have sorry, I didn't see Mr. Angus or Mr. Simard. Which was first? Okay, Monsieur Simard.
Je suis pas sûr de bien.
I'm not sure I understand the motion. He wants to start the study again that we've already done. Is this what this motion means? Because we've already done a study on critical minerals, so I'm not sure I understand what the motion means.
Translation is coming through.
Je veux savoir quel est le.
I want to know what the meaning of the motion is. He wants to start again a study we've already done on critical minerals.
To speak to that, to explain the motion, if anybody needs clarification.
Yes, I think. Would you like me to respond, Chair?
I believe so, and then we'll go to Mr. Angus and then to Mr. Maloney.
Sure. I mean, I'm just asking that essentially we read out the report and get a government response to the work that's been done.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Angus.
Thank you. So my understanding is that the report was done. We did not get a response, so we need to bring it back to committee and then ask for the government response, is my understanding. Critical minerals is essential. There's a massive worldwide geopolitical struggle going on, particularly with China. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we have horrific human rights abuses taking place all over the world in the search for critical minerals. And yet here in Canada, we have the opportunity to mine those minerals in an environmentally safe manner with proper health and safety standards and with agreements with Indigenous communities. I certainly speak from my region where I live in a town called Cobalt, which is a critical mineral. So our industries are very much focused on this and focused on the potential of getting us to near zero through the use of battery technology and these important minerals that would be much better mined in Canada than in some other jurisdictions where the rule of law is very suspect. So I applaud the committee for the excellent work they did under Mr. Maloney. I followed a lot of the committee's work, and I think it would be a complete waste if we did not get a response from government. So I'm more than willing to vote to have that study brought in, if we have to resurrect it so that we can then ask for it to be responded to our committee, and then our committee can look at the government's recommendations. I'm ready to vote on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Angus. Mr. Maloney.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat it. I was going to respond to Mr. Simard. Thank you, Mr. Angus, for your comments. Mr. Simard, this is the report we did. You're quite right. We finished it. It was tabled in the House. It's just there wasn't time for the government to respond. So all we'd have to do is readopt the report as a committee. We wouldn't have to. We're not doing anything over again. And then that would give the government an opportunity to respond.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready to vote on this motion? Okay. Do we want a recorder division? Yes, okay.
Mr. Shahal.
Yes.
Mr. Bruson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Lapointe.
Yes.
Mr. Maloney.
Yes.
Mr. Malilo.
Abstain.
Ms. Rempel-Garner. Mr. Morrison.
Abstain.
Mr. Workington.
Abstain.
Mr. Simard.
Oui.
Mr. Angus.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 yeas.
Okay, that motion is carried. Thank you. We're now at just coming up on 6:20. I appreciate everybody's work. I'll just make a couple of comments, Mr. Angus. I do have a question. I know one of the things, other committees I've been on when we started, we've invited departmental officials to do a briefing. Is that something that would be of interest to this committee as we get up and running? I'm getting a couple of head shakes no. Get to work? Okay. And The other thing I was going to say is that for subcommittee, on other committees, such as when I was on environment, we did ask parties to send in other thoughts or suggestions that they had for motions that could be considered once we got ones going that have been adopted today. I don't know if you want to have anything else in the hopper, or if we just get going with what we have started with today. But I'll reach out to subcommittee and see if we want to actually have a meeting prior to returning at the end of January, early February, so that we can hit the ground running, as was stated, having things lined up. I'm willing to do that work in January to make sure that we're ready to proceed, but it'll be working with the subcommittee to do that. So that offer is there, and I will be reaching out after we finish and when we're back in our homes to see what the interest of the subcommittee is to move things forward. Now we have Ms. Lapointe and then Ms. Rempel-Gardner ready to also provide some comments, and Mr. Angus. So Ms. Lapointe.
I had a motion that I wanted to present to the committee this evening.
Okay. You have the floor. Please proceed.
This motion is important for many reasons. Primarily, it's the work is vital to our forestry sector, and I believe it is incumbent upon us to continue the good work of the previous committee. The motion reads that a request government response to Forestry Study 43-2, that pursuant to Standing Order 108-2, the committee undertake a study of economic recovery in the forestry sector, that the evidence and documentation received by the committee during the second session of the 43rd Parliament on the subject be taken into consideration by the committee in the current session, that the committee adopt the report entitled Economic Recovery in Canada's Forestry Sector, Green and Inclusive, adopted during the second session of the 43rd Parliament and tabled in the House of Commons on May 25th, 2021, that pursuant to Standing Order 109, the committee requests the government to table a comprehensive response to the report.
Okay. Any discussion, Mr. Angus?
So is this like the last one, that a study had been done and we just need to get the response? Okay. D'accord.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. We're ready to move or to vote? Okay.
Mr. Chahal.
Yes.
Mr. Bruson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Lapointe.
Yes.
Mr. Maloney.
Yes.
Mr. Malilo.
Abstain.
Ms. Rempel-Gardner.
Abstain.
Mr. Morrison.
Abstain.
Mr. Workington.
Abstain.
Monsieur Simard.
Oui.
Mr. Angus.
Oui.
7 yeas.
Thank you. That motion is carried. Now we had Ms. Rempel-Garner and then Mr. Angus for speaking.
I'm happy to cede the floor to Mr. Angus and speak after.
Okay, Mr. Angus.
Yes, just so that we can talk about hitting the ground running. I'm looking for direction on us spending time in January over the Christmas break, getting our witness list together. Can we get that to subcommittee so that we can have a plan so that when we come back, we actually are ready to go as opposed to letting things drag out? So I'm ready to meet whenever a subcommittee is called by the chair, but I think if we could start looking to the witnesses and then talking about how we see this going, this is something that would be very much, I think, better dealt with at subcommittee, because we may have many common witnesses, or we may, by talking, find there are gaps in our common witness list. So I'm ready to do that, but I'd like to know that we can get that work done in January, so when we start this committee work in February, we're set to go.
I appreciate that offer of support, so thank you, Ms. Rempel-Garner.
Thank you, and I share my colleague's sentiment to get witness lists in, Chair. We trust you to schedule the witnesses out. Per the schedule, we will certainly be sending witness lists. I don't believe we need a subcommittee to go through witness lists. We would just send those to you. The clerk would be coordinating that. So with that, I move to adjourn.
Where are we at with the move to adjourn? I didn't have one other speaker on the list, but I guess we have a motion to adjourn that we need to deal with. So as a dilatory motion, we need to vote on that. So we have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Shahal,
Yes.
Mr. Bruson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Ms. Lapointe,
Yes.
Mr. Maloney,
Yes.
Mr. Malilo,
Yes.
Ms. Rempel Garner,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mr. Workington,
Yes.
Monsieur Simard,
Oui.
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
11 yeas.
Perfect. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Consensus again.
Thank you so much, Chair.